I wonder if a lot of people think, and maybe I'm wrong, obviously, because you're so ambitious, that like because you're doing the thing, the next level or the clear next step in progression is that now I must own that thing. So
Yeah,
like people who are like trainers think like, oh, now the next thing is I need to own a business or a gym or a fitness or a studio of training. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely. Yeah, my wife and I talk about it all the time. I think it's interesting that, and maybe I'm wrong because I've never worked in this industry, but you're dead on. Like people are like, I'm really good at karate or I'm leading the classes. That means I must be ready to own the business. And I look at like, because I've never been in this industry, but I look at people that work at, say, a convenience store, right, at 7-Eleven, and I don't believe that they say, hey, I'm the one running the cash register. I'm the one stocking the shelves. Therefore, I must own this thing, right? Like it's
Yeah,
interesting how there's
yes.
industries, right?
Yeah.
And that where people just say like, hey, that's clearly what's next. And I think that if we talk to a lot of people in our life, we probably come across some stories where they say, "Hey, I thought I wanted that next role, whether maybe management or whatnot, and I realized like I didn't really enjoy that. Like I didn't want to do performance reviews, right?
Hmm.
Like I wanted to teach the class. I wanted to be doing what I was doing, and so maybe that kind of gets back to your question about advice. Is really when you find that mentor and you find that person that does have that next step that you think you want, really getting a clear answer out of them of like, what does this job really look like at that level? And is that going to bring me joy? Right. A lot of people say, oh, you're a business owner, you can do whatever you want. And some businesses do reach that point, right? Where they intentionally staff up. They've got great plans to get to where the freedom is there and there's hopefully enough, revenues flowing that they can take the vacations or they can take the nights off. Um, but I think oftentimes we think that comes faster than it does. And there is going to be a lot of long nights and early mornings when you start any type of business. Because again, when you set up that first cash flow and you really understand what it means to own a business, you're going to find more often than not that right up front, employees are just not going to be there. You are the employee, and you're going to wear all the hats, and you're going to, that next step that you thought you were going to enjoy doing, you get to do that plus all of the things you were already doing. So I don't mean to sound negative about it, and I don't mean to discourage people from chasing that next level in their career. But I do think some honest reflection and understanding, hey, what does this path look like? I've always found if I know what's coming, even if it's not fun, at least I know it's coming, right? And I know like, all right, this is what we're doing today. It's the times that you think it's going to be something different than it is that I think your disappointment can match that level of expectation.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I've learned a little bit from especially the podcast situation where I've had the opportunity to talk to so many different owners. And there was one in particular that I was talking to who was like, if you could have told me that now that I own the facility, 80% of my job would be marketing, I probably would have chosen differently.
Sure, sure. I believe it. Yeah,
So,
because again, you get into it because you love what you're doing, right?
yeah, yep.
And then oftentimes you become the business owner, and maybe you'll find you love that too. But I think it's important to understand like you're going to shift. Oftentimes, the CEO of a big company isn't on the front line anymore, and if you love the front line, you're going to have to be willing to let that go for that next step if that's where you want.